All right, all right, all right. We are back again, my friends, here on Facebook Live. Guys, sorry for running a little bit behind, but you know what they say, when you move into a new house, you got to
Yes.
get everything right.
Yes. We are shouting out the Launch Factory,
Yes.
2459 Wilkinson Boulevard, Suite 310. Fabulous facility. It is a co-working space and it is awesome, beautiful in here. Definitely want to acknowledge Margaret Slade. She has done nothing but made us feel welcome and comfortable. And oh my goodness, I forgot the IT guys that quit that came in to get us all set up. So we are super excited about this being possibly the new home of at the Round Table, so we can bring you quality broadcasting.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Ooh, you sound like a professional,
man. Yeah,
It's the mic. It's the mic.
Oh, it's the microphone.
All right, family, we're back again. It's at the Roundtable Podcast. It is the People's Podcast, and without further ado, let me turn it over to these two amazing individuals that I get to sit down with every other week and chit chat every week. Ta-da!
Hey, Adrian Bill, man. Hey, money.
Hey, money.
Hey, money. Why they call them that?
Because you can bank on it.
Yeah, that's really. And to my left,
it's your girl Melissa, aka Put Bull in a Dress. And I don't think anyone should question why, and I definitely don't want you to find out why I'm called that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Gonna be some trouble.
And going back to you.
I'm that guy behind the board, Kerry Bigsby. Again, I get the opportunity just to chill with these amazing individuals. My brother and sister from another mother and father.
I'm going to dub you the one that stirs the drink.
That's one of the things. I like that. When you see me do this, you know what's about to happen. Oh, man, it was good to see you guys again, man.
Same here.
Long overdue, man. It don't even feel right when we don't get a chance to chit-chat and act the fool, as Mom and them used to say.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us. What's been going on this week before we get into the meat of the matter, so to speak?
Just busy work. Normal life occurrences with me. I'm just trying to keep my head above water.
Right.
Oh, but I would like to touch on something.
Go ahead, touch.
Before we even get deep into our topic of the day. These drivers out here that aren't legal,
what? Say that so.
Hitting folks, hitting vehicles and leaving the scene, it's starting to become an epidemic. Yeah. I know that's another story beyond itself. I know that is, but if you're not legal, stay off the street.
Yeah, so it ain't so they riding dirty.
Yes.
Shout out to Charlie too. She is flying back from the UK.
Hey,
all right, Charlie.
She seems going to catch us later on, but as always, she always jumps on and gives us love.
Right.
Shout out to Charlie too. Kingly Living has just joined us. What's going on, King?
Mr. Kingly? I'm looking forward to your comments on our topic tonight.
Oh, well, speaking of him,
right?
Go ahead and give him executive producer rights as well as Cheryl Parks for this particular story we're going to dig into.
That's right, because this is the People's Podcast, so we recognize game, and these two individuals, again, they have always challenged us with these topics, and I'm telling you, this one's going to be a burner as well.
It is.
Shouts out to Margaret Slate. She just hit us up on at the Roundtable Podcast Show. She is, again, the amazing woman that helps here at the Launch Factory. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret.
Oh, Tammy Lawrence has just joined us. What's going on, Tammy?
Hey, Tammy.
Yeah, say that. So, boy, she is on and popping. Okay, Tammy. We hear you. We see you. And if y'all didn't know, that was Beyonce playing in the background. Oh, that's Alicia Keys. Should I let it roll? Should I let it roll? Or should I go ahead and cut it off?
Okay, because this is not a radio station. This is a talking show.
Okay, all right. Y'all stay tuned. We'll come back to that one later.
Y'all like the party.
We'll come back to that one later. Yes, Kingly Leveland, we is live.
Yes, we
indeed.
are.
Yes, indeed. Tammy Lawrence just said hi.
Hi.
Hey, Tam.
Hi, Tammy. I'm typing that now. Yes.
As he started his drink.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be signature. Y'all should have did that.
That's it.
That's gonna be signature, boy. I tell you, I like that.
So, A Money, you gonna give us the topic tonight?
Yes. Oh, it's about to happen.
Should you
Mm-hmm.
force your children? Well, let me rephrase this. A father that isn't home, should you force your children on that individual? Or can we phrase that a little differently?
Absent fathers. Absent fathers.
Okay. We'll go with that.
Should they be forced to have a relationship with the child or children?
Now, this can go in a lot of different directions.
It sure
so
can.
It's
It
gonna
sure
be no
can.
work she wait.
Mm-hmm.
They can.
Yes.
They can.
So,
Well, I just like to start by saying I'm sitting at the table with two fathers that I feel do the best.
Let me get my wallet out right
now I'm trying to check my Zelle account right now.
Put my money on the table. Put my money on the table. No. All jokes aside, though, I think these two guys are awesome fathers. No parent is the perfect parent, but when you do the best that you can, that's all that you can do. That's all that God requires, and eventually your kids will appreciate it. So it definitely, I think this is a really touching for me, having a childhood with kind of mixed experiences of an absent father and then having present father figures. That's a whole nother branch from the actual question, but it all ties together. So
it does. So,
A Money.
how do you feel? You think that a child should be forced upon an absent dad?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I will hope that the father will be forcing his rights upon seeing his children without having to be forced to actually to do that. And that's a unique thing right now, currently, in this particular world that I'm seeing right now. And I don't know if it's the new generation, but I see that a lot of young men, I'm referring to young men in this instance, it may also cross over to our age, our generation as well. They don't take it seriously.
No.
Good point.
They really do not take it seriously. And I see a lot of them allowing the mother to pretty much take full responsibility of the raising of that particular child or children.
Yes. Yes. I think it is definitely I gotta keep it real. That's the People's Podcast. I don't feel that you as a mother should force your child onto the father who has made it very clear that they are not interested in being a part of that child's life. Yes, I know I didn't make this baby by myself, all of that, yes. Or he's going to take care of this baby, or he's going to have a part of my life. I don't want my child growing up, blah, blah, blah. Well, you should have thought about that before you got to the point of making a child. And then on the news, you're hearing all of these stories of these beautiful angels being murdered or being tortured or because you are leaving them or forcing them to be with the father or trying to force fatherhood on the next one. You can't do that. And so this is where when you guys say you don't take it seriously, they're not taking it seriously. You cannot just throw your baby to the wolves. You can't just push a pause button. Long time ago, I had an aunt that kept it blunt, so I will keep it PC. But she said sex and a baby never kept a man. If it did, nobody would be lonely. So, I mean, if you don't.
Go ahead.
Write that down. Boy.
But I mean, let's just be honest.
Let's be real.
That's never kept him. He's going to be there. He's going to be there because he wants to be.
That's right.
and that has nothing to do with it. So I do not agree with, you know, trying to force a guy, because if he's going to come around and say, hey, I want to be a part of that child's life, it's going to have to be something that's with him. No magic time and pictures, and it's going to prick his heart to say, oh yeah, I'm ready to be a dad. That's not going to work.
Good point. Kingly Living just chimed in and said an absent father was already absent before the baby came.
That's right.
But the woman thought that the child was going to stay there.
Dang, well, he already on it.
Drop it right there, Les.
Okay, I'm gonna let that simmer for a minute.
Well, Kingly, thank you for saying that. He said, "Don't take it seriously." Hold on, are y'all saying that most young men don't take it serious?
Okay, well, we are saying that most young men,
right,
that fit this category, that fit this actual profile of an absent father, does not take it seriously. I have plenty of friends that are, 25, 27. They are under, let's say they're under 35.
Okay.
And they have had their first child, or maybe it's their second, and they're excellent fathers. So yeah, you do have, you take it seriously, but just the guys who fit this profile can.
I have to disagree with you.
Wait a minute, hold on. Is there a disagreement between A Money and Pitbull in the dress? Expound, please. Let the masses know.
And
clutch my pearl.
And I hate to say this, Kingsley, because I don't want to really put your generation in the box, but yes, from what I'm seeing, the mass majority of them aren't taking it seriously. Now, as you have so eloquently dubbed Pitbull in the dress as a unicorn, you in that particular generation is a unicorn yourself. You are a rare breed, and having the opportunity to know you as well as these two as well, you step up to the plate. We see that already about you. You take that responsibility seriously, as a young man should whenever he brings a child into this world. The vast majority of that generation that I'm talking about, that you're a part of, and again, this is just my opinion, I don't think they really don't take it seriously.
Okay.
So I think this is the peril of the turtle's view and the giraffe's view. You're only going to see what's in front of you. So where he has his opinion because of what he sees, I have a different one because of what I see. And if I can name, I won't, but I can name 4 gentlemen right now that I know they are doing a great job. Now let's get into percentages. 4 out of 30, that's not really good. No. But let's for now, I feel that 4 can influence another 4, and then it can grow.
Okay, so with that being said, then, because the 4 that I take it you're saying are doing their due diligence to being fathers, while A Money is saying he don't see it. What with those 4, since you know them, what constituted them to become good fathers? Let me ask you this: in their background, was their fathers there?
Out of the 4, 3 of them had fathers in the home.
Okay.
And 1 did not, but he had a very strong father figure.
Good. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, my sister. I knew you were going to say that. Daryl Cook, thank you for joining us on the Roundtable podcast show.
Hey, Daryl.
So basically from what we're taking then is 3 had fathers, 4th father type figure.
Right.
So family, with that being said, is that something that really needs to be looked at as well, as far as a positive male presence in that individual's life to hopefully stem the tide and kill that generational curse, as far as baby daddy not there, he gonna be a hoodlum when he grows up. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yes, and it is very important not only for father figures for young men, but for young women. Because of my background, and was blessed, I just lost one of my father figures last month. It helps us to hold accountable what we have for fathers, for our children.
Gotcha.
So when you don't have a relationship, or I think for a woman having an absent father, it makes her mate that way. Like, I feel that she'll have a child with a man maybe unconsciously knowing that she selected a mate that if they were to walk out, she'd be okay with it because it's what she grew up with. You know what I mean?
Okay. Hold that thought, because Kingly Living just chimed in prior to you making that statement. And guys, this is why it's the People's Podcast, because the people be speaking.
Yes, sir.
So check what he said. He said, so why not gonna blame nothing a women? Try to keep it cool. For busting it open for
Oh God.
8S men. Y'all, you know the A and you know the S, you grown. We gotta speak in general and not absolutes. So basically from what he's saying here is because of the women being the way they are, giving themselves to these whole men, these immature men,
right?
These ain't got men,
right?
So with that being said, and I'm just throwing it out there again because I love y'all my people. Would y'all not think that's adding fuel to the fire, so to speak? So in other words, okay, so if the girl didn't have a good father figure, then her response is, this is what she does. And she, like you said, sis, pull the same type of man into her bed.
Yep.
So it seems like the generational curse is now multiplying exponentially like rabbits.
So the community definitely has been altered and changed. We have media, songs, shows, kind of trying to make it okay to just kind of have somebody who like you enough to stay around, to just have a child with them, and it's okay. This is across multiple communities. It hurts us as the Black community the worst because a lot of us are at ground zero. And so, and then you're reproducing, but you're not building legacy. And so it's hurting us the most when you take on these very liberal ways of living, which is, like you said, you don't have it. I feel like, I speak to me as a woman, I feel like having, daddy issues, and I really hate using that. It's so cliche and it sounds like an excuse more than a description. Having daddy issues, it did definitely impact me in my growing, in my relationships, in my development as a woman, in my confidence, and what my standards was, and knowing my self-worth. It impacted all of that. And I think what saved me was having those father figures that, I could talk to, that would pull me to the side and be like, what's going on? Because you're not looking like yourself, you're not acting like yourself. You're, I think one of the things that hurt me was I had lunch with my godfather. I had just came into that 18, 19, and I'm grown. I kept saying it over and over while we were having lunch. And he sat there and he looked at me and he nodded his head. And he said, I hear what you're saying. He said, most of the time, people who are what they are just that. They don't have to announce it.
Okay.
I said, oh. And he told me, he said, you're better than how you've been acting, how you've been behaving. And he said, I had to talk to you myself because I couldn't believe what your mother told me. He said, I was disappointed. I was done after that. Oh my God. My godfather was disappointed in me. It shook my core. But again, you have to have that respect, or have been taught how to respect, in order for that to have an influence or impact on you. So it is nothing for a lot of women out here who have low self-esteem. They don't have respect for themselves. Just because somebody said, hey, how you doing? And took you to an actual restaurant where you get appetizers, you're like, oh, he must really like me. And so you're going to go to bed. You don't hold yourself. You don't have self-worth for yourself. So you're just laying down with all these people. And then people are looking at these young women that have 2, 3, 4, 5+ kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh my goodness, how she keep doing that? Because she is looking for, I don't want to say her dad, but she's looking for that security that a father brings. But she's not realizing that she's passing on those same insecurities to her children because she's laying down and reproducing with an absent father.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
good point.
Very good point. We're gonna expound on that because King Living dropped some knowledge. Okay, I'm gonna need you to jump in. Okay, I'm gonna need you to jump in because King Living just said. Let's talk about the why. We can't ignore the dominant society's role in destroying the Black family. We have to understand that the virus was created by them. It's not just men walking out. It's what the women or the woman will accept.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then, go ahead. I feel it coming, A-Money.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
He said, Section 8 and WIC program were created by the same people that gave us the conditions we live in. To say young men don't take it seriously isn't really true because now the courtroom insensitized on our downfall. The more kids the woman has, the government will give them more money for the potential inmate they breed. Daryl Cook just chimed in. Now y'all knew King was gonna drop some balls.
He said they breeding inmates.
They breed. That's what King of Living said.
Oh goodness.
So he said, I admit that because of my poor choices, I was not there for my daughter. I saw my daughter for the first time when she was 13 years old when I was incarcerated. And then again when she was 12 years old. Well, 13 years old when I was incarcerated. Yeah. So by that age, I was out of prison, struggling, not even knowing how to be a father. I was raised in a single parent home by my grandmother with no father.
Mm-hmm.
Even with those men trying to keep me on the straight and narrow, I was still lost when it came to being a father to my own daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Money.
Deep stuff.
I'm seeing the wisdom in your eyes. What say ye?
Actually, that's a
okay.
Where to start with that? Both of them were pretty much dropping some
Yes.
informative information.
Yes.
Again, I'm just Kingly. I'm gonna say that I still have to disagree with you.
What?
Again,
Boy, Money's on the disagreement train.
He's holding strong. I am proud of him. Yes.
Go ahead, A Money.
And again,
Go ahead and put this on tight so I can hear this.
This and this. I don't know if this is more so perception. Some of it is experience of what I went through and seen.
Right.
In addition to the perception that I'm seeing out here in this environment, that once we step out these doors and into the streets of what we see,
Right.
You constantly and it's publicized too. You can pull up Facebook, Instagram, and see a lot of people pretty much publicizing.
Yeah, they are, unfortunately.
Yes.
Wow.
Sleeping with women, having children, and not actually wanting to take care of them.
Right.
It's just like another notch on your belt, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying that it's all of your generation, but I want to say that it's a large majority of them. Again, I applaud you. I applaud the things that you do because I know you personally. But again, from what I see, from what I have conversations with my peers, that's pretty much the state of affairs right now.
Okay.
Still love you like a brother, though.
So King of Living just chimed in. He said, all a man can do is nut in a woman. It's up to her to have the child.
Wow. Kingly.
Wait a minute, let me finish. he chimed in again. And yes, I'm gonna let you go ahead and chime in. I'm gonna let y'all do y'all thing before I'm just the guy behind the boards tonight.
You stirred the drink too, man.
Yep. You stirred the drink.
A young man is going to do what a young man does, have sex without a condom. I'll comment on that in a minute and let you go ahead, sis. But what about the woman that objectifies her body? Bam, there we go. Okay, so now the gauntlet has been thrown down. There are three main things that King just brought up. And I know my sister is ready to throw some wood on the fire, so I'm gonna go ahead and let her Would you like to respond to this, or
no? Go ahead with the 3.
that's the 3? All a man can do is nut in a woman. It's up to her to have the child.
Okay.
A young man, is going to do what young men does: have sex without a condom.
Okay.
And then, what about the woman that objectifies her body?
Okay. So everyone, both parties are adults. So no one is being, magically influenced and slip Mickeys and, date rape drugs and things of that nature to be like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. So first of all, I hope young men aren't still out here just all willy-nilly with they willy, okay? I really don't feel like that is it's not a big deal to me.
Sorry.
I can't see you just jeopardizing your life like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is some real deal stuff out here today.
Yes.
Number 1. Number 2, yes. And a young woman is going to do what she wants to do. She has a right, just like he does, to have unprotected sex. She has a right, if she feels like that's how she wants to handle her body, to do that. She has that right. She does not, I feel, have a right to then play a victim when the outcomes aren't favorable.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be unintentional attention, or uncomfortable attention, or a child. And it is her right to either have that child or not, but she has to understand that it is her choice. So I do agree with him on that. It's her choice to have the child. It's her choice to not have a child. If you decide to have a child, understand that that's your choice. And he has a choice that he wants to be a part of that or not. That's not fair. That's like me telling you, I'm going to go get lunch. And you say, I just want something good.
Mm-hmm.
I want something hot. I want something good. And I bring back pizza. And you're like, well, I didn't want pizza. And I'm like, well, that's what I brought back. You have a choice to eat it, or you have a choice to be like, I'm going to go and get me something else. But guess what? I can't get mad because I spent money on pizza and you don't want it. That's the part where I find women have, that's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem in this. So yeah, absent fathers, we have it, but sometimes we bring that as women, we bring the absent father plague to our door because you knew this was what it was. You tried to act like you were open, and then now that you're having a baby, you think that everybody's supposed to just jump on board with being parents. They don't have to do that.
So the woman has the choice.
I've had this happen,
Mm-hmm.
okay, where the woman's like, yo, I'm pregnant, I'm not having this baby. And the man is like, yo, no, like, don't do that. Don't do that. I want to have a child. She's like, but I don't. But he's like, look, just think about it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you do have that guy, but that's a slim percentage where the man steps in and object to say, no, don't go through with that procedure. Let's talk about how we can make this work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when both of you lay down, even though, like Kingsley said, a young man is going to do what a young man does. The thing about it, if you're going out there unprotected, then you're basically accepting the responsibility of potential pregnancy, in addition to, hopefully, God forbid,
any type of STDs.
Exactly. So I can't necessarily still put it on just that woman. It's a two-way street.
It is a two-way street, bro. But at the end of the day, that final decision falls on her. Because once you have spread your seed, your fertilizer, you don't have no more input in that process.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it ultimately falls on the woman at the end. So
Good point. Shout out to Terry Digsby.
Hi, Terry.
Hey, baby. Thank you for joining us on that Roundtable podcast show.
And shout out the location one more time.
Location, we are at the Launch Factory, and it is 2459 Wilson Boulevard, Suite 310, 28208. If you are looking for a co-working space, if you're looking for a fabulous studio, if you're looking for a place that actually have people on the grounds that care about making sure that you are able to do what you need to do, this is the place for you to come. Again, the Launch Factory, they're online, look them up. The facility is beautiful, I'm telling you guys now. They just opened up this year, so tell anyone and everyone that close to uptown. I'm actually looking at looking at the city out the window. That's how close it is uptown.
Yes.
So come check them out.
Yeah, shouts out to them. And let's go ahead and do a shameless plug. At the Roundtable Podcast Show was the very first podcast to do their thing.
What?
We broke it in.
We broke it in.
We broke it in.
I was gonna say something else, but that's
I was thinking that too. But we're gonna be politically correct and very nice with the family. Yes, we broke it in. So, so Kingsley just chimed in. Let me go ahead and read this, because Kingsley is rolling. He said, we get all of our tendencies from the dominant society. We hate ourselves. We don't love ourselves. The young men don't know what manhood is, and the women want to be, I'll say, hoes and ladies at the same time. It's good men out here that want children, but they get passed up daily.
Yep.
It's men out here that practice manhood, but society will deem them as toxic, masculine men.
Yep.
Anything toxic must be killed, right?
Yep.
The leading cause of death of young black men are the police. Black men and black women aren't the enemies of each other, but them same people that the women run to for child support are the same people that don't want us to live in harmony. Let's be real here. All right. Kingsley done dropped it.
Stir it.
All right, let me go ahead and jump in real quick. So Kingsley does make some very good notes in regards to it, but let's also take a look and reflect back on how, if we're going to go through history and such, how basically, during slave times and such, how the family unit was already being chopped up and dissected from the time in which we were left from our homeland, our place, our initial birthright, our beautiful area, to here on the slave ship, many of them being thrown off to the side. Mothers being thrown off to the side apart from the children. Daddies being thrown off to the side apart from the children. Dead children being thrown off to the side. So you come to a place in which you're now becoming a slave, and instinctively they were told to separate us. That's if memory serves me correctly, the Dred Scott papers say it right there, don't it?
Right.
How to split us up.
Right.
So all this stuff is going on. But here's the thing. Because we can always talk about what happened to us back, but let's talk about the here and now. It is very true, like you said, sis. Women have the ultimate say-so on who lays with them, who they conceive with, and who they allow to be a part of the child's life. We're going to get into that portion of it. I don't think anybody wanted to touch that one, but we're going to get into that one. I'm kind of like on the fence as far as I agree and then I disagree, because young men are running out here, like you mentioned, all willy-nilly. But why are they running out here all willy-nilly? There's no father to give them the instruction. Here's the flip side to it, because even though there's no father, there are the mothers that are sitting in the homes right now, and they won't put a positive male figure into that young person's place.
Neither will they hold their sons accountable for being a man.
It's that baby boy complex.
Yep.
So nobody wants to put somebody, in other words, you got a single mother that's over here and such, and instead of her talking to the barber, talking to the teacher, talking to the football coach, the track coach, the baseball coach, whoever is a positive male figure in their life, whether it be a boy or a girl, they won't do that. Yep. Some of them won't, because some of them want to have a handout, and some of them want to hurry up and get back to the house and get ready and drop the kid off on grandmama so they can get out to the club so they can find the next person.
Or some of them also, it's a pride thing. It's a pride. It's when you are a single mother, you have to hold it down. And sometimes you don't want to open up that private part of your home because you're the mother. You have to hold it down because society judge you. I read something on Facebook where, the mom was saying, she's struggling, then the society, well, why don't you just pick up some more hours? Why don't you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Then she's working overtime, and then society saying, working so much, you're not spending enough time with the kids. So you have all of this. The woman just has to be really strong. But I do want to touch on what you said as far as from what happened to every time. And then you can fast forward to the 60s and 70s, where, we as Black people, but I think as a society as a whole, we were thriving because you had those who went to college, you had those who were able to do laborers, you had plant workers that was going to provide you with a lifestyle so you can provide a home for your family. And so things didn't seem so hard to be responsible and held accountable when you doing it, your neighbors across the street is doing it, the people in your plant are doing it, or in your office are doing it, because we were not that we weren't struggling, but you just knew what you had to do. But when you have a Black man or a young man out here with society on them, every way they turn, and like you said, you out here running, a lot of that running is just to ignore. They don't want to deal with the truth. They don't want to deal with reality because it's too heavy. But they don't understand that you're out here running around, laying with this one, laying with that one, laying with this one, and you're creating a little army, little generations to feel the same weight that you feel. And that's where we have to have real men like yourselves, kingly, talk to the young men and say, look, do you not see what you're doing? You're not leaving legacy. You're leaving a plight for your child.
True. Very true.
And so you have to say, this is it. So I get it. And I can't ignore what our ancestors had to go through, where that is woven into our DNA, even after all these years. But we have proven that we have broken out of that within the 60s and 70s. What happens now is your generation, our generation, we're the next generation to reach back. But we're not doing it. Well, some of us.
And that's the thing that
are
somebody
not
else
doing
was
it.
saying as well.
We're not reaching back. We're not being that person. When you see that young man, he's trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You busy, you got something to do. We got watches, we got phones, we got all this that's telling us what we need to do, where we got to be. But you can't take 10 minutes to say, young man, that's not respectful of yourself. That's not something that you need to do. Or you acting this way, that's not how you need to conduct yourself.
The cynical person is going to say, why would I? They wouldn't listen anyway. Why am I going to approach this young man and get cussed out?
Well, you know what? And here's the thing, because it goes back to, one of the main things that we keep hearing, and Kingsley just chimed in. He said, a man is powerless when it comes to, and Tammy did too. Oh, we rolling now. So Kingsley said, a man is powerless when it comes to that court system. There is no fathers because America targets Black men. They don't want us to have anything at all. We carry nature that'll completely turn the world brown. Tammy said, some kids can have a positive role model and they still go out here and do wrong. It's not a preventative measure to say, oh, this will never happen to that kid. Right.
But I still feel that you have a better chance of turning that kid around. My mother always said kids are like suitcases. The first thing you put in is the last thing you take out. You can put in whatever and that kid can go off. But because you've given them those roots and that core of morals and having standards, they'll turn around. Let
me drop this on y'all real quick. I'm just gonna share something really personal with y'all. Not really personal, but something that I intended.
I just getting ready to get my cup and my pinky up.
Okay, so me and my fraternity brothers, one time we were out and we did a football camp. And at the football camp, we were at a local park. We had set it up with some people that were doing an event inside. And, we were wanting, the kids to come out. We were going to do them some, basic core moves and, certain things, just to get their blood running, so to speak. Because kids, they stay in front of the TV too many times.
Right.
So what has happened is, we're sitting there and we're working with some kids and such, and this one girl, and I had a very deep talk with Umar Johnson about this, Dr. Umar Johnson about this. So if he hears this, he's going to remember what I said to him, because he and I got into a heated debate about this. So young woman comes up with her kids. She's got one on the hip. She's got 3 in tow. She just dropped them off and kept it moving. Just, what time y'all going to be done? And kept it moving.
Right.
One kid, who was the one on the hip, did not want to be there. Had runny nose, had, hands full sticky, had already been up to the, eating candy, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't want to be there. So we were trying to console him while the other 3 was ready to run, ready to jump, ready to catch balls, height, was doing everything. Very good. These kids were very talented. So mom comes back 2 hours later. She comes back and, first thing she said was, what they do? I know they were hard-headed. Okay. So I'm like, nah, sis.
That's a deflect.
Nah, sis. They were amazing. They did a great job. This one right here, though, he was upset and stuff. But I said they did a wonderful job. Very mannerful, respectful, blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, I just want to, because you know how the kids are. And she grabbed them up and left. We didn't expect a thank you. We didn't expect anything. But what we did expect is for this young sister to pour something into those kids, congratulating them for what they did, what they accomplished in 2 hours while she was gone. Don't know where she went. She dropped them off and skated.
Right.
But she came back and she immediately assumed the worst. So Umar Johnson and I had a very lengthy discussion about something like this. Basically, we talked about this, and his response was basically, it is society's responsibility to take care of the sister and all her kids. He went back to the olden times and saying basically, it takes a village to raise a child. So my response to him was this: while it does mention in the Bible about how the village gathers around in order to raise a child, but there's more to it than that. When the village gathered around back in African times and in biblical times, when they gathered around the child to take care of the child, it was because the father may have died in battle. It was because maybe the father just died of natural causes. So it was the responsibility for the village. Really, it started with the responsibility of the father's brother.
Right, to take care of the widow and the orphan.
And if that couldn't happen, then the whole village wrapped their arms around the mother and the child or children in order to make sure they were taken care of. And that's when the elder black men stepped up in order to pour into them, to make sure that they were, the young man grew up to be a strong warrior and knew how to hunt and knew how to, and they would pair their daughters up with him so he could have a mate. That's what the village did. And what happened was society now, and Kingsley mentioned it kind of sort of about this society or whatever, but we forgot about those things and we take it out of context, and we automatically assume that we are supposed to immediately take care of that sister and her 3 kids in tow and the one on the hip who was just barely 2 years old. I love my people and I love everyone, and I believe in helping, but at the same time, we have to help ourselves first before we expect to get something from someone else. We have to be that type of individual to say, you know what, if I don't have a husband there, at least let me place somebody of a positive stature in my child's life. And it kind of goes back to the father thing. We haven't even touched on the fact about how some of these sisters won't even let fathers.
Oh, the flip side of that, the father isn't absent; he is being forbidden.
He's being forbidden and pushed out. We haven't even gotten to that.
We haven't gotten to that. I like to touch on the fact that I believe that we are to take care of that sister and her kids, but I feel that there's a way to do it, and I also feel that you also have to not just take care of. What you said was they poured into.
Right.
So you had the queens of the village helping her be more settled, more secure, in being who she is as a woman and as a mother. You had the men, if they were more children, to show them what they need to do as a man. Then the elders were showing their daughters along with the mom on how to do it. Again, we dropped the ball. It goes back to the proverb of you give a man a fish, and you going to eat for a day.
Eat for a day.
If you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
That's right.
We have to we got to reach back and teach them how to fish. Because when I get 60 and 70, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to just stay in my immediate circle to know what the young generation is doing.
Right.
Or to feel comfortable with the young generation.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to enjoy them living and building and expanding and, you know, exercising imagination and ideas, education and innovation, not just like, oh my God. I don't want to have to say, I remember back when. I don't want to live in that world all the time in order to have some type of joy. So we have to still reach back. We have to take care of that sister. We have to take care of that brother. And I want to hear, well, a woman can't teach a man how to be a man. She can't teach him how to be a man because she's not a man, but she is part of one. So she does still have wisdom that she can then pass on to him. And then, like you said, pair him up.
That's right.
With a figure that can now we are naturally nourishers. No ifs, ands, and about it. We are naturally helping something thrive. That's what we do. You bring home the meat, we make a meal. You know what I'm saying? You may build the structure, but we make it a home. With children, we make them into people. We give them their souls. We nourish their emotions. We nourish their personalities. Where the fathers teach them how to function. There's a breakdown in that. Everybody want to feel good, but they're not teaching these kids. And working in CMS, there's so many children that are great, but you see that the whole functioning part is missing. And now your child's being labeled, and you got them on pills.
So, you got some comments. You got some comments. Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead, A-Money.
Go ahead, A-Money.
So, touching back on what I initially said, trying to be cynical, why would you want to talk to these kids to get cussed out or to get looked at crazy? The thing that I want to point out is that most of them, believe it or not, are receptive from the times and the experiences that I've had with them. It's just about that we look at some of them to act like that, but that's not necessarily the case. Quick example. When I was a basketball coach, a youth basketball coach, and it was this one child acting out. I set him out. I told him that you can't play the next game because you're not listening. You're being disrespectful to your fellow players and everything. Next day, his mother came up there.
I knew you were going to say that.
And tried to chastise me for sitting beside
Yep.
And I stood by my morals. I said, look, I can't reward anybody that's not wanting to listen. And I got the other kids who's looking at me as being a role model and disciplinarian at the same time.
That's right.
If I let one of them step out,
they all going to do it.
That's right.
That's it.
So, game day, she came up there still expecting her son to play. Well, confrontation took place. I wouldn't even really call it a confrontation. I say a discussion. In this particular instance, her brother, which is the child's uncle, came up there and said, Coach Biddle, I stand by you. If my nephew is out of place, then I totally accept what you're trying to do and totally agree with it. And sit them down. That's the type of I guess brotherhood I'm looking. And it's beyond black, white, and all of that. It's brotherhood.
Right.
You looking to actually try to do the greater good, and that's looking after the ones behind us.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, the expectation. If you have low expectations, you're going to get just what you expected. There's a scene from Equalizer 2 when the young man decides he's gonna go out with the street gang. Viewers, I don't know if you guys watched this movie or not with Denzel Washington. So Denzel Washington goes in and he basically rescued him, and he was telling him that, you know, you're not built like this, in so many words. And so he looks at him and he goes, why? And he said, why not you? He said, yeah, but why? And that part pierced my soul, because so many kids, unfortunately, are out here so shut down because they don't have anybody that is caring enough to even care, period. And so when you get the resistance and you get the whatever, blah, 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 it's just a deflection, but you can let them know. Unfortunately, I have more interaction with young men, and I let them know, you can take it or not. However, I'm going to sleep well tonight because I did what was on my heart. I had a young man not hit me slam, but he basically was speeding and didn't anticipate the stop that we had to make due to traffic and construction. So he tapped the back of me and I got out the car and we are literally on the median of freeway. And so he's trying to open his door. So I tapped his hood and I said, hey, get out on your passenger side. Gets out on the passenger side, nothing but weed smoke, nothing but him. He's looking crazy. And I think he was thinking I was going to be angry. And so he already kind of squared up. And the first thing out of my mouth was, are you okay? And he looked and his whole demeanor changed, his whole posture changed. He said, yeah, yes, ma'am. Are you okay? I said, I'm good. I said, what you want to do? Because he had more damage to hit the front of his car than I did.
Right.
He was like, man, I'll call my insurance. I said, your car is more damaged than mine. I said, so it's going to be on you. If you're okay, I'm okay. I said, because you know what, brother? I said, young prince, as soon as you open the door, I smelled the weed. He was like, yeah. I said, I've been there. I've been young. I said, this time, this day in society, I said, this is not what you want to do. I said, don't smoke in your car. You gonna do what you need to do. Do what you need to do before you leave or when you get there. I said, don't do that. I said, number two, I said, I don't appreciate or like the fact that we had a little fender bender, but I'm glad it's me and not somebody else because they would have called the cops on you and this would not have ended well for you. I said, so you got to think about where you are and how you're going to be tomorrow, not just right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, thank you. And just the look in his face, I don't think anybody's ever talked to him. I don't think nobody ever even said to him, hey, this is where you are. And I had prayer with him and I gave him a hug and he got back in his car and I drove off. And I often think about him, I'm saying, hoping that he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the things that when you have that moment and these young people, young women or young men are coming across your path, you need to take opportunities because you don't know if that one moment is what will change that young person's life, regardless to maybe have a rejection or being cussed out or whatever the case. You have a duty. And I'm challenging us at the table and anybody listening, anybody watching later, you have a responsibility to reach back and let's try to foster and influence these young adults out here because they need it. They absolutely need it.
So, Terry Digsby just chimed in. We got King Limited, Melissa talking that talk, unicorn. So Terry just said, I think the issue that we moved to a point where being a single mother is normal. It isn't normal, and it isn't our goal of choice for an independent woman. Children need good fathers.
Yep.
A woman doesn't know what it's like to be a man, and I truly don't believe that they can offer everything a son needs to be a successful man or as successful as he can be. Also, women are not holding men nowadays responsible. People only act how they are allowed to act.
Yep.
When a boy gets a girl pregnant and is not held responsible, then of course he's not going to be. They're chiming in. They're just going.
Yeah, because what does society do? Society makes the teenage girl, if it's a teenage pregnancy, the teenager has to leave the school, not the boy. Mm-hmm. And I protested against a young woman who was pregnant and a young man was in school and she was in band and on cheerleading and he was in the football squad. And I said, that's not fair. I said, if she gotta leave, he gotta leave too.
Well,
and they let her stay. Because of that, we did a protest because it wasn't fair.
So Shakima Boyer just joined.
Oh, hey Shakima.
Yeah. Hello, Shakima. How you doing? Hold on 1 second. Terry said, I think we should offer support, but at the same time, we also need to be okay saying something to our friends before they become single mothers of 4 kids with 4 different fathers. You're setting these kids up for failure. Very true. Very true. Mahogany Tabiti, thank you for joining us at the round table. Thank you.
Everybody joining towards the end.
It never fails. It never fails. And I think that's interesting too, because we didn't even get into the portion of it. And I wanna just throw this out here, and I want to challenge everybody's thought process, because from what Melissa was saying in regards to us taking time to actually speaking to these young people and such, it's interesting because the way everything is happening right now is still kind of agreeing with Kingsley as well. It still originates and it perpetuates from what a woman allows and what a woman does, but also young men, us being able to kind of like educate and talk to them as well. It's hard. It's very hard right now. Because this is one of the things that I've said, working with various youth groups and being on a couple of boards, is the fact that so many times you can be that individual that really connects with that child, but a lot of times you'll pour so much into that child, and as soon as they get home, they can be deprogrammed. In other words, everything that you've done right there is being circumvented at home.
Well, this is why it's important. Unless you have like a lot of resistance, we have to start implementing children and parent counseling,
or
interaction,
activities,
engagement, having a workshop. So while your child is maybe doing some type of a basketball camp or football camp, then you're having a workshop with the parents, because again, we can't ignore, especially our generation, we can't ignore and say we don't know what the problem is, or we don't have a resolution. We have too many things at our resources now and at our fingertips in order to engage that. People in the 80s, maybe early 90s, when you didn't have what we have now, they were doing the best they can what they could.
But now, it was better then.
There's no excuse to not implement even the more. You got, guess what? Hey, I gotta work. I'm gonna drop them off. I gotta work. They may have a job where, they chilling. Now we could do live streams for the workshop, for the parent that has to work, or for the parent that may be sick and can't get out the house, and somebody's dropping them off and picking them up. I mean, there's too much. We can always make an excuse on why we can't, but let's make it happen, because the result of people talking around saying, well, they might not accept it, or, well, they can't do this, or, like you said, it was better because you had more people kind of on the same page morally back then than you do now.
Well, I think it was more representation of society accepting, quote unquote, the father figure. I think that's been a big problem right now, because like Terry mentioned, the father figure is not placed in that. It's been flipped, because the father figure used to be an upper echelon representation of what we can attain to, but and you had shows that actually were geared around that. I mean, think about it. You had A Different World. You had the Cosby Show.
Family Matters.
You had all these shows in which the dad was on point. Now the norm is dad is not in the house, or there is not a dad. There's two dads.
Actually, there's no representation for us, period. Like there's no representation on television.
It's not even us. It's just the fact of how we've gone away from the familiar family unit in which dad is dad. You go to dad for allowance, you go to dad for problems, you go to dad for protection, and it's not there anymore.
This Is Us is a NBC show that kind of does family. It's everything else is just like drama and
it's too much
reality TV.
Exactly,
and it's never reality. It's not reality.
I mean, here's one thing, and we didn't even get a chance to really expound on that, and I kind of hate it, because one of the things that I've seen and I experienced myself is the fact that sisters won't allow fathers to be fathers, because they still have that type of mentality in which if I can't have you or how you did me, then you can't have a relationship with your child.
Which ultimately boils down to a woman not accepting rejection and not trying to heal.
True. But then at the same time, though, it also flashes back to, okay, if you're that woman, where was your father in your life? Because if you didn't have a father in your life, there's an old saying in which they say the first man a woman will date is her father, because he sets the tone and the precedence of how she should be treated as a princess.
Absolutely.
And eventually become a queen.
That's it. And
you find your prince, and then you too become king and queen.
Well, to me, that's the healing part. She's not healing, and she probably doesn't even realize she needs to. And then she doesn't want to accept rejection. Nobody likes it, but you have to accept it because you have to move on. This young man doesn't want you. This guy doesn't want to be with you. And, it's hurtful and it sounds mean to say, but it's just honest. He don't want to be a part of anything that you're a part of. That means that child. So you have to accept that and you have to move on, but you need to heal because what happens, we are creatures of habit. We are creatures that will repeat the same behavior. And then you got baby two by the same type of man. He just stuck around a little longer. Then you got baby three by the same type of man, but he at least come and pick him up. So how he gonna come and pick up little JoJo, but then little Tata and Didi at the house
JoJo,
looking at
Tata, and Didi.
Yes. So, and that's interesting to say because then here's the thing: because then you got JoJo, Tata, and Didi. Okay, so baby daddy 3 is coming to the house to pick up
JoJo.
Will pick up JoJo because Tata and Didi is still there. So then you're expecting as a mother for him to take up the other 2.
Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they do it more than others.
But most men, I know they're like, yo, like that's not my this is my kid. I'm taking care of my kid.
But then she throw up that thing in which, well, the kids are part of me.
Yeah,
so
but that's not fair. And I know it happens.
And it happens
but it's not fair. It's not fair. So I mean, and I hate to say this, but we gotta shut it down. But I think that we as society, I'm thankful that my household has a father in it. I'm thankful that my husband tries to be the best that he can be for our daughters. And I'm thankful for having a circle and a village that has positive males in it. So if and when there is a disconnect, they have someone else that they can look at to say, oh, okay, or I get it, oh, okay. Or sometimes they'll say, oh, Mom, that's all guys, or men are just big boys. It's things that happen, and I'm grateful for that. And I never realized how good that is and how privileged that is until I speak to some women. And these are women that I'm talking about, nice salary, educated, master plus degrees, and they are struggling with having a male figure for their child or children. It's sad. So we just got to do better. We got to support each other.
Be proactive.
Be proactive. And not fall into the traps of hands out, but fall into giving people a hands up. There's a whole difference between a hand out and a hand up.
A quick question. Well, quick statement before we go ahead and close out because I know we done ran over a little bit. We want to give a shout out to the people that nominated us for the Pod Excellence. We got nominated for Most Improved podcast. Although we didn't win it, we still appreciate you nominating us, supporting us, and being back. Being our backers.
Right.
Please continue. And thank you.
Thank you. And again, want to shout out Launch Factory, 2459 Wilson Boulevard, Suite 310, 208, for giving us a chance to break in their podcast studio. You guys will definitely be seeing us here. I think we have made a decision that this will be home until we wind up having our own actual facility. So shout outs to them again for that. Shout out to Margaret for just giving us such great hospitality and welcoming to the facility.
Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret, once again for joining and allowing us to grace this place. Y'all, we gotta go, y'all. This thing's been so hot. We're gonna have to do another topic like this again. Part 2, chime in, share this, let us know if you want to revisit this again, and we are out. It's People's Podcast.
People's Podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. So, got a next topic on At the Roundtable, and it is a very juicy one. And of course, ladies, we want y'all to kind of like just share with us your thoughts on it. And it's about when fathers aren't in the home.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I feel like when fathers aren't in the home, it makes a difference depending on, the gender. If it's a male or female, it's a different, way things go. Like if it's a male, as a mother, when the father is not there, then that we take on that role of being mom and dad, and we don't know if we're being too soft or being too hard. We try to be like, I don't know, like the man for them. and then
There's only but so much that you can show them as a woman,
right.
but then it still affects a girl also, because then she's lacking a father figure, and then we don't know how to be that father figure. It's usually what do they say? Mama's boys and daddy's girls.
Yeah, yeah.
It also affects girls when the father isn't present.
It does, because I have 2 girls, you guys know, and my oldest one, her dad wasn't around, so she definitely seeked him out once he did come around and felt like she was missing something because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
My daughter, her father wasn't present. Well, still is not present. However, my son's father has been in her life for the majority of her life. So she has a father role or a father figure, but it's still not her father. And so I still feel like that plays a dynamic, because it was the same thing with me. My biological father wasn't around, but my stepfather was always around. But I still always felt like, okay, my brother's dad is there, but my dad isn't, even though he was a dad to me. So it definitely plays a role, and every girl wants to be able to communicate with her father and know that her dad is there, especially when it comes time for, daughter daddy dances.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah. And I think also, even having a son, his dad is, he's around, he has a great father, but him not being present in the home, I think that makes him feel like that he's the man. So I think he kind of feels like, I have to be the man around here. I have to protect my mom and different things like that, when I would like for him just to try to be a kid, but it's like, dad's not here, so I'm gonna have to do it. And then also when I'm dating, it's like, because that's not his father, it's kind of like, he's at that age where it's an attitude. I don't want him around my dad, my mom. I don't really know him like that. So, I mean, it makes it really difficult when the father is not present. In a home date, it makes you rethink as parents or as women about who we even date, who we even choose to have children with, because, that affects them. You think, they'll be okay because, I give them this, I give them that, but just like Shauna said with her daughter, she got 18 and she wanted to find him. She wanted to, rekindle that relationship with him not being there because she felt like she was missing something. So I think it's very important that they are in the household. I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this real quick, because you ladies, of course, are sharing a wealth of knowledge right now. So how important is it to keep the door open? Because, you hear so many horror stories about, sisters not wanting the men to be a part of their lives, almost, in a negative way. How important is it to keep that door open and allow the brothers to come back and form a relationship?
For me, it was always important that I left the door open for both of my girls' fathers to see them and be in their life. My oldest daughter's dad just had some mental issues that he was not able to be there for himself, let alone be there for others, or his child. But I would never want to keep them from their daughters just because we are not together. So I've always left the door open for that.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Well, with my son's father, they're very close. And me and him have a very good relationship. So we're almost best friends. So, I think it's kind of, everybody thinks it's kind of taboo what we do because we spend Christmases together. So like him and his girlfriend stayed the night in my house with me and my boyfriend for Christmas. Every holiday, every birthday, we are a blended family. So, I think it's very important that he has that relationship with his dad. But my ex-husband, which is my daughter's father, he is kind of here and there. Sometimes he comes, sometimes he doesn't. And as a parent, you're kind of like, okay, you want to keep that door open. And also, is it harming my child by allowing her to keep having him come, and then all of a sudden, for weeks she's not hearing from him. I tried to explain to him that she's 4. That at this time she can't really remember, but when she gets older, you're gonna have to get that, together. So I think that it's like a catch-22. Like, you want to keep that door open, when you have a good father, but you also have these men that just want to, come around and every once in a while and then don't come back. And is that fair to your child to allow them to, keep hurting them like that? Yeah.
I mean, like with my mom, her thing was, it is my responsibility as your mother to make sure that you have a relationship with your father. So she pushed me to write letters, because back then we didn't have social media. So I had to write letters and mail them. And I almost felt like, well, he's the parent. Why do I have to do this? But she said, your mother. I'm going to make sure that you have a relationship. And so I do the same thing with my daughter. And I don't speak negative of her father. I always push for it. And I even tell him, do it while you have the chance. While you're still everything to her. No matter how many times you let her down, you're still everything because you're her dad. Now that she's 12, she's getting to a point where she still communicates with him. I don't force it, but I'll say, hey, why don't you give your dad a call? And if she wants to talk, she talks. But then there's times where she really has nothing to say to him because he's constantly giving her open-ended promises. Well, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to come see you, or I'll bring you up here to come see me because he's still in Jersey. And or I'll do this for you, or I'll call you, and then he doesn't follow through. And then she's hurt, but I still try to push it, and I keep telling him, do it until she doesn't want to have a relationship with you because you're only harming yourself. But I never sit there and talk negative of him because I don't want her to feel like, well, my mom kept me from him. Or she's having now a biased opinion of him because of my internal opinion. So I try to keep it as nice as possible. But at the same time, I also let her know that she deserves to be treated better than some of the things that he does. And
I think
not to get hurt.
I think though it's still like, you know, like we want to protect them, you know, and I hate that, you know, especially in the Black community, that we consider bitter women, you know, when we don't want the father around. And it's not that, but if you're coming around and it's harmful and it's not helping them, then we should be allowed to say, hey, that's too much, you know, like, you know, you need to get yourself together before you come in, because this is not a revolving door.
Create a standard.
So, create a standard. So I agree with that.
Very good, sisters. Because like y'all said before, you know, especially with young ladies, I mean, the first man that they'll date is the father.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we've done it. How many of our fathers? Because we've all been married and divorced. So, you know, I mean, I think Shonda's probably the one that had a really good relationship with her dad. Me and Tiffany, we did, you know, we have an okay relationship. He raised me, but, you know, it was still a strained relationship. You know, he was military, so he was very hard on me. So it was, you know, we had a little shaky relationship. So,
Then, like I said, with my biological father, I still had the communication. And then my mom was like, once you turn 18, if you want to continue to communicate with him, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And I decided to communicate with him, but I still never had the same respect for him that I had for my stepfather, who's been in my life since I was 13 months. You know, he was my dad. And even he and my mom had gotten divorced at one point. Then they started redating again a couple of years later, and then got remarried again. And so for the time that he was away, it was like, he reminded me, I'm not your child, because he would just come and pick up my brother. And although I was only in second grade, it's things that I still remembered. So once they got remarried again, it took a long time for me to then still look at him again now as dad, because it was like, you reminded me for those couple of years that you were separated, but I was not your child. And so, you know, it's just hard when the actual father's not there. And then my biological father, I just never had that same respect. He was just more so a homie, a friend.
Yeah.
And I didn't give him that respect or just have that same relationship that I have with my stepfather.
Yeah.
You know, and then when he passed away, it was like, okay, I hurt because it was my father, but it still wasn't the same as if my stepfather, if he would have passed away, because we didn't have that closeness.
Yeah.
Me and my dad were close, but we didn't live in the same house. My mom remarried somebody else, but fate would have it that now my dad and my mom are remarried now. They've been married for almost 6 years, and I've got to experience living with them. Even though I'm an adult, like, it's been a great thing to just see their relationship, and I just wish I would have had a child, because I kind of grew up very hard dealing with the stuff my mom dealt with her husband who was on drugs or whatever.
There are a lot of it's generational curses, you know. It's our parents, you know. I don't think that I've, even on both sides, from my dad or my mom, have, you know, my grandparents weren't together, you know, my mom and dad weren't together, so, you know, it's kind of like a generational thing, but, you know, we want to kind of break that, and I hope that my kids, you know, I want to teach them to, you know, get married, have children, don't do like I did, have children, then get married, you know, get married, you know, plan a family, you know,
And build that friendship. friendship before the marriage,
Right.
because I think all of us got married rather quickly. All
Yeah,
of us got
absolutely.
married within a year.
Within a
and
year,
build the
yeah.
foundation of a true friendship.
But I think that all goes back to somewhat having daddy issues too.
Mhm.
It does. I think all that goes back to having issues with our father in some kind of way.